experiments, and we'll come back to this. So imagine we divide it into two groups, and I ask the group on the left to write 3 reasons why you love your significant other, and I ask people on the right to write 10 reasons why you love your significant other. And now I give you some time to write. Don't do it now, but if we're doing the real experiment, you would write it down. And then I would ask you, how much do you love your significant other? How likely are you to stay together in 6 months, a year, 2 years? Maybe this is California, in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months. How likely are you to have an affair? I ask you, how much do you love that person? Will the fact that I ask you to think about 3 reasons and ask you to think about 10 reasons should change how much you love that person? It shouldn't. I didn't tell you anything new about them, right? If I told you, hey, I met your significant other, here's some new piece of information, there would be one thing. But I didn't tell you anything new. But of course, it does matter. Who do you think have greater love to their spouse? People came up with 3 reasons or 10 reasons? 3. Why? Why 3?
They didn't have to think as much.
Okay, didn't have to think as much. It's easier? That's right.
Because you're not going to run out.
Very good. Are you married? I hope your wife can see you on YouTube at some point. It turns out, what's your name? It turns out he's exactly correct. People run out. And as they struggle to come up with reason number 6 and number 7, they say, how much possibly can I love that person if I can't come up with 10 reasons? But the interesting thing is that, our spouse is the person we know the best in the world. What should we know better? And if the process of thinking about our spouse shall dramatically change how much we love them, what else can we have trust in? By the way, turns out the same thing goes for BMWs. I don't know if anybody here has or willing to admit they have a BMW, but it's the same thing. You ask people to think about 10 reasons to get a BMW, and they're less likely to do it. It's also very good in teaching. If I ask my students to think about 15 ways in which my class could be improved, I usually get higher teaching ratings. So it is practical, as you can see. So here's another example of the same principle. Imagine I asked you, how often do you floss? And I asked you to give me on a scale from 0 to 9 a day, or I asked you on a scale from 0 to 9 a month. Now, then I gave you a number for a hygienist, and I said, should you call her up, right, to make an appointment? What happens is that if you got the top scale, you would answer somewhere on the left. And if you got the bottom scale, unless you don't floss at all, you would answer somewhere more to the right. But then you would go a step further, and you would say, my goodness, I'm only flossing once or twice a day. I'm way below the norm. Or in this case, you would say, my goodness, I'm flossing 8, 9 times a month. I'm perfectly fine, and therefore be much less likely to call the hygienist. Again, your hygiene practices is something you should know. And this, by the way, works on everything. How many hours of television do you watch a week, and how much do you work, and how good is your social life? It works on a lot of things. It turns out we just don't know. And the scale that we're being given to think about something can dramatically change how we think about it. As a consequence, the scale designers have a big influence on our lives.